I'm just curious about how you closed the chapter on your role there and then began the new chapter of like following what you wanted to do, starting your own company.
Yeah, that's a great question. It has, I feel like I never saw myself as being my own business owner. Never. Like that would never. I still continue to view myself as being a strong right hand for someone. And in a lot of what I was doing, I was being very strategic in what I was doing, which was very different for the company I was working for. We didn't have HR that was strategic. It was always very administrative, and I was able to get it to a point where we started to be a strategic partner. I was starting to feel like I was outgrowing my position, my role there, my presence. So I was expanding beyond that, and I was very fortunate to have a boss who embraced that and was like willing to allow me to just kind of explore. In that, it was like, okay, go ahead, let's try this. And it was a safe space for me to try to make mistakes and figure out if it was going to be something that was important to me. But what I really think happened was really COVID. COVID was a eye opener to really recognize, hey, your job, your sole job, could end in just a blink of an eye, and then what do you have, right? I witnessed a lot of people in the workforce just have to rely on unemployment and struggle to find work during those periods of time, and they needed medical insurance on top of that, right? That was a really rough time. And for me, it got me thinking about retirement. And I was like, what am I going to do to retire? I want to be able to live a different kind of lifestyle, but still be able to contribute meaningfully. So it really took me to look at what do I have that would be of value? And I was like, well, obviously all the things I've acquired during this time, the skill and knowledge I have. And at that time, I was going through my MBA, and teaching kind of came up, and coaching. And this is kind of where I ended up going down this exploration process of like, okay, what's teaching going to be like? And early on, before I actually got into HR, there was a point in time where I was going to be a teacher, an elementary school teacher.
Oh,
I
wow.
know, scary, right? And I remember being like, this is so not for me. So, that it comes up later in life, I thought, maybe it's something that was truly meant to be, right? In some capacity, teaching. Maybe not a teacher, but I'm sharing with others. And I had a professor that was super helpful, gave me an opportunity to say like, hey, go try, right? Be an adjunct instructor. And so I tried it and still do it. And it's a great way for me to see like what the upcoming talent looks like, right? In both the undergrad and the graduate level. And that's kind of how I dabbled in that space for a little bit during this, COVID lapsed. And then, we went into 2021, 2020. And then coaching kind of came up. And coaching was a very different understanding of what I had. Like what it is truly as to be a coach is very different from what I knew, because I knew it as like a sports kind of coach. And in some ways it's very similar. You have athletes who are trying to get better, and a coach in the way that I know coaching is very much like that. Although the workforce and organizations bring in coaching from a more remedial standpoint, which is not the case per se. That's HR's job, not a coach's job per se. And so I went through this process of just trying out this one coaching educational source and loved it. And I think it also was a healing point for me too, as going through my own personal transitions. That I found so much resonance with it. It was pretty amazing, and I never felt so challenged because of just the emotional bandwidth needed around it. It was like a lot. Like you think you deal with people on an HR level, like coaching and in this capacity is a whole other ballgame. It really is exhausting. And I was like, wow, the transformations and the impact you can have with someone through this mechanism is amazing. And so I went through that process of just going through the education. It was 6 months of education, 6 months of certification and practicing coaching, and then testing, and got that. And now I do that executive coaching part, and then I still do the teaching part. And I kind of take that teaching idea from where I'm teaching at to actually working with people, right? And helping them grow and learn and thrive in the ways that I can help. But that's kind of how I went through this path of trying to figure out like what I was good at. It was really about what happens if you no longer have a job, What do you fall back on? And so I had a good parallel period of time where I could experience both worlds. And then it came to a point where I just started to feel like, I need to leave this world and sit more in this world. And I started to kind of make that transition slowly but surely. And it was scary, I'm not going to lie. Like everything you knew to strive for, to climb that ladder in a business and get there, it's like, holy smokes. And I'm sure you experienced this too when you just decided to say peace out, right? And well, you didn't just say peace out, but you know what I mean. And you
Professionally.
right,
peace
right,
out.
right, right. But yeah, but I will say, just the other morning I woke up and I was sitting in so much appreciation and gratitude for just where I'm able to be today. My slow mornings, being able to be with much more presence and intention and purpose that I would like to have, that I want to be about versus what I have to be about. It just hits a little different. And I can say it was such an amazing feeling because I don't think I've ever felt peace like that. Like it made me wonder, like, what is this? Like, is this what peace is? Because I hadn't ever really truly experienced that. I've always been in a situation of fighting, right? Like fighting for everything, fighting, or trying to push forward, but not ever feeling comfortable with just being and sitting in it. And now is the time that I get to do that. And I'm just like, okay, wow. Now I have to think about it in a way like, okay, you deserve this. Because that's the hard part is being able to recognize I earned the right to be able to do this because I put the work in to get to this point.